Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Just one more drop. Just one more drop of air bliss. Okay. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed. Here we go. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Well, it takes more than a drop for me. It takes 13 drops.
And if you want to know what we're talking about Air Bliss, B-L-I-S-S. And if you'd like to get some, you can go to normshealy.com, Normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, Nathan is engineering the broadcast today in Minnesota at Genesis Communications Network. And I had a question for you. Do you have any events scheduled for maybe tonight?
Yep. We're going to talk about dealing with depression.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So tell us what that's going to be like and where you're going to have it, please.
Well, it's at the Doubletree Hotel at Glenstone and Kearney, 6 p.m., and I'll be talking for an hour and taking questions about anything after that.
Okay, that's tonight in Springfield, Missouri at the Doubletree Hotel, 6 to 7 p.m. Charge? No charge, right? Absolutely
No charge.
Free, right, Doctor?
Freebie.
No charge. Mm-hmm. And are you going to be in that the auditorium there or that seminar room that has the sloped floors and those really comfortable seats?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The amphitheater.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Amphitheater. Okay, I've been there with you, and we've presented there together. It's great. It's a very, very comfortable. So, class, if you're interested, it holds about a little less than 100 people, but it's like going to a movie theater. That's really what it's like. So it's that comfortable. Tonight, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And depression. You know, I was writing down that there are a lot of people who are depressed, Dr. Shealy. And what do you think causes this depression that people are experiencing?
I believe that the average depressed person, which is 40% of Americans, had something happen in the first 7 years or 9 years of life that made them feel abused or abandoned or unloved. Now, it could be any time from conception up to 7 years of age. That seems to be the critical age. And, you know, to some extent, it doesn't matter what happened. What matters is their perception of what happened. You know, it could be a single episode, and for a child, one episode where they feel rejected can turn into a lifetime of depression. It blocks their basic ability to bond, to bond with other people, to nurture and be nurtured.
Dr. Shealy, I was trying to help a family who was in need a few days ago. And I was in my pickup truck, and I drove up to their trailer house. And what I heard was an adult, probably their mother, screaming at these young children, yelling at them. Very loud tone of voice. And I thought, well, whatever it is, it can't be necessary. It just can't be necessary to do that. I've heard teachers in classrooms, in the public training institutions, screaming at the children, I'm going to send you to the principal's office, and those kinds of things. Are those events, which, actually, sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Well, those words, maybe they do hurt. Is that what you're talking about? Even something like that, Dr. Shealy?
You bet. Vince, I might have told this before, but, my sister was a perfect example. She was 2.5 years old when I was born. My mother had hyperthyroidism. And when I was born, my mother weighed 75 pounds. She was weak, she was frail, and she had a new baby to take care of. Now, obviously, I don't remember anything that happened in that first year or two, but I believe that my mother pushed my sister aside a couple of times to take care of the baby, and that's all that it took for my sister to become depressed for the rest of her life. Now, she was never abused. I am not aware of... the interesting thing is she didn't leave home until she was 30. She lived at home until she got married at age 30. But she never forgave my mother. She always felt my mother rejected her. And my mother didn't reject her. My mother probably brushed her aside a couple of times. And I'm sure there wasn't any loud screaming or anything like that about it. But it was enough for Mary to feel depressed all of her life. And she died at age 58 of complications of diabetes.
Wow. Was she heavy when she died?
Oh, yeah, she was heavy. That's what happened. She was fat within 6 months of my birth. So by age 3, she had, wandered off into her own inner world of depression and began to be fat and was fat. When I say fat, I mean she was, we're talking about 50, 60 pounds overweight.
Is there a link between depression and obesity?
Oh, yes. Interestingly, as with every known disease, something is going on that has some depressive elements and some anxiety elements and low oxytocin.
I'm just thinking about the number of people who would like to be lower in weight, and maybe there's this depression that's stopping them. Is that is that possible? So what do we do?
It is probable. There are very few truly happy obese people.
Wow.
Now, they don't have to be... They can be what I call subclinically depressed. In other words, they might be 3 to 5 points lower than someone who's clinically depressed, but they're not happy. There's a screening test that I use called the Zung, Z-U-N-G. It's only 20 questions. And about 40% of Americans are clinically depressed, and their score is 50 or above. But there's another 40% whose score is between 40 and 49, and that's what I call the subclinical depressed.
Dr. Shealy, can you share with us some of those questions that, maybe we can mention them on the air and mention the questions and let some of our class answer them, silently to themselves and then tell us what the answers mean?
Interesting test. It's called the Zoom, and it is, in fact, I'll send you a copy. Fortunately, it's not copyrighted at this point. It's in the public domain, and that's one of the reasons I use it. You don't have to pay $1.25 to do it. My favorite question, and the one that bothers people the most, is I like to be with attractive men and women. Now, it really should say I just like to be with people, I think. But that is amazingly common for people to say they don't like to be with people. So I can read you the whole test. It's pretty simple. I feel downhearted, blue, and sad, and you get to answer that none or a little of the time, some of the time, a good part of the time, or most or all of the time. And so it counts, 1 to 4 points for each one. Morning is when I feel best. I have crying spells that feel like it. I have trouble sleeping through the night. That's a huge number of people right there. I eat as much as I used to. I enjoy looking at, talking to, and being with attractive women and men. I notice I'm losing weight. I have trouble with constipation. My heart beats faster than usual. I get tired for no reason. My mind is as clear as it used to be. I find it easy to do things I used to. I am restless and can't keep still. I feel hopeful about the future. I'm more irritable than usual. I find it easy to make decisions. I feel that I am useful and needed. My life is pretty full. I feel that others would be better off if I were dead. I still enjoy the things I used to do. Now, the lowest score you can have on that is 25. And obviously the highest is 100. My average patient has a score between like 52 and 65. And when you get to 60 and above, that is moderate depression.
You know, I'm looking at the last question. I still enjoy the things I used to do. Now, if someone answers, yeah, you know, I still enjoy the things I used to do, you know, most of the time, which would be the highest rating, right? Because it's a little of the time, some of the time, good part of the time, most of the time.
Most of the time would be a score of 1, and none or a little of the time would be a score of 4 for that particular question.
Okay. So, you know, when I saw that question, yeah, I still enjoy the things I used to do. Now, is that bad or good? Okay.
So I guess that's good. Most or all of the time is the best you could be.
Mm-hmm. And there's another one that says, I find it easy to make decisions. Question number 16.
Right.
Now, you know, some decisions are complicated. Some, you know, if you want to apply science to some decisions, like, for example, let me just give you an example in my life. I'm trying to determine what kind of batteries that I'd like to use for our solar system. Okay, I've got everything but the final batteries. And it's complicated, and I'll tell you why. The lead-acid batteries, and I've got them in place right now, temporarily, but the lead-acid batteries, like a marine-type deep-cycle battery, is the least expensive, but it lasts the least number of years, like 5 years. And then there's the lithium-ion, which is a new technology, and it's got a complicated battery management system. And when you're done with 10 years of using that, or maybe a little bit longer, that's it. There's no rejuvenating it, no fixing it. And then there's the nickel-iron battery, which costs the most. It's the biggest, and but there's not a lot of science out there about it. So it's complicated for me. We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and so one of the questions on the test that we're talking about is, I find it easy to make decisions. And as I was describing as we went into the break, I'm trying to make a decision with our family as to which battery system we should use for our off-grid solar energy system. And so lead-acid batteries, you know, they may last 1 to 3 years if you discharge them too much, and that's at 1 to 3 years. That's a big problem, because they're about $2,200 for a small size battery bank. But if you're really nice to them and you check the water level on them and you keep them properly filled and you don't discharge them too deeply, like 10 to 15% depth of discharge, you can get 5 to 7 years out of them for $2,200. And if you want the lithium ion, that can be around $8,000, but it's got a sophisticated computer management system. And if we have an EMP, it might take that system out. And then now we've got a useless lithium ion battery bank at $8,000, but it could last 10 to 15 years if you're nice to it. And then there's nickel iron batteries, which is the highest priced system, and the lifespan, we don't know. We don't know what it is, because some of them have lasted over 100 years, and they could last more than 100 years, just changing the electrolyte, which is caustic, and they can take the greatest depth of discharge, which you can discharge them 60%, and they're still fine. They're more durable in that regard. And then there's the different cases that you can get for the nickel iron, and some are stronger cases than others. So, and they're about $10,000 for the size that need at our farm. So it's a complicated decision, and I've been working independently but together with an electrical engineer, and he and I are doing research together, and we're finding that we're adding more and more information to the equation. But the decision is really, really complicated, Dr. Shealy, and so I find it easy to make most decisions, but difficult to make this one.
I agree.
So
when it comes to that kind of thing, where you're talking about the length of time and the total cost and the cost per year, there's no perfect solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what makes it difficult is there are a lot of unknowns about the nickel iron battery system, which is the one that I really like the best. And then now here's one that I see affecting a lot of people. I feel downhearted in blue. Some people feel that way. They feel like, especially during this election with Hillary Clinton, people are bummed out, Dr. Shealy. They are. I don't know if the word is depressed, but they're certainly down. No question about it. Would that be considered an anomaly?
I prefer being angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's much more energizing than being depressed over it.
Well, I am angry. I am angry about the lies. I'm angry. I've been stomping around thinking, how could people be so stupid as to say they would support her and vote for her and want other people to join them? It just, I wonder where she gets the clothes she wears. If Mrs. Finelli wanted to get a tent like she wears, where would she go to get that?
You could camp out in
Omar the tent maker, or Omar the burlap bag recycler. I mean, where would Mrs. Finelli go to look like that? I mean, first of all, she would never do it. But if she wanted to,
he's a modified burqa without the head cover.
Yeah. And think about this. Hillary wears, almost down to the knee, jackets. I don't know what you'd call them. Tops, jackets. Is she got body armor on, or does she just look that way? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why she. Well, actually, there are lots of speculation that she's wearing Depends, or diapers, or I mean, I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying there's speculation that she's got a catheter in there so she can just keep on going, and there's been images on the internet that you can see this, what looks like it might be a tube running down her leg. And why does she go into the bathroom alone and not go in with anyone else who's in a bathroom? Questions. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Class, if you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com, normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, I've been reading a little bit about Plum Island, and it's this 843-acre island between, it's just off New York, New York's Long Island. It's about 10 miles across the water to Lyme, Connecticut, and it's midway between New York and Boston, where millions and millions of people live. And it's where allegedly it was just there was a government installation to study diseases in animals. And then 10 miles away, across the water, we have Lyme's disease appearing in Lyme, Connecticut. Have you done any studying about Plum Island and some of the germ warfare activities that were going on in that facility, Dr. Shealy? No,
I'm aware of it, but have no in-depth knowledge. Mm-hmm. But let's face it, our government, the government, has been doing all kinds of research of this nature for 100 years or more. I mean, they do things that would be considered criminal by an ordinary person.
It's a really good point. So if just Joe Dokes, the villager, decides that he's going to find out what would happen if he contaminated with an infectious disease cows in his village. Yeah. Well, actually, in a couple hundred years ago, he'd probably be drawn and quartered.
Right.
But our government can do that. Now, the research that I've done has shown that Plum Island is contaminated and there's no fixing it. There's absolutely nothing that we know of that can fix the contamination on Plum Island. And, most of the materials that they've used have been buried, but still the island has been destroyed and completely by our government. We didn't do that. And anyway, it's terrible. But I don't know the answer other than arresting everyone involved, starting with the top. Whoever the top person is, arrest that person, and all the way down the line. And I had this discussion with Mrs. Finelli, and we were at a government building, and it's where they put a gun to your head. If you don't do this, they will fine you, take your property, whatever. It was one of those kind of things, and I said, we don't have to be nice to these people. And, we talked about that. And she said, well, they're just employees and they don't do it. They're just being told what to do. And I said, yeah, but they're doing it. They're being mean to everybody. And they're part of the system. And I think that our response is we shouldn't really be all that polite and nice to them because they've collectively put guns to our head to make us pay, for these permits and taxes and, on and on and on. Why do we have to be nice to people who are stealing from us?
Hey, speaking of government and taxes, are you aware that the Missouri State Legislature is planning to tax every service from haircutting to babysitting?
No, I was not aware of that. Now, it used to be...
Yes, there is a citizens' vote, Amendment 4 or something like that, on the ballot this year, which would prevent them from doing that. Which, interestingly, the fact that they're thinking of doing it, unless this amendment passes and if government does do that, would actually be unconstitutional according to the Hancock Amendment, because they're not supposed to be able to raise taxes without a vote from the people. And adding taxes to the doctor's visit, the accountant's visit, the barber, everything would raise the cost of living in this state a minimum of 10%.
And Dr. Shealy, we currently are paying in Missouri, in many counties in Missouri, almost 10% in sales tax.
Oh, I know.
Already. And it's an outrage. I bought some parts to repair some of the equipment, vehicles, and I was charged $30-something sales tax, to buy, this is to buy 2 shock absorbers and a constant velocity joint axle half. And I could put these parts under my arm, and I did, and walk out of the auto parts store with them, and the tax was about $33. The price that I'm seeing that quality parts cost now is just out of control, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we haven't had a revolt yet. I'm surprised that people haven't gone to the mayor's offices or the mayor's houses, or even the schools where the mayor's children attend to say, I'd like to meet with you and tell you what your dad has done. Really, this is absolutely out of control. And I guess the reason they're getting away with it is because we haven't visited their houses. We haven't visited the schools where their children attend.
Well, no matter how you look at it, in my opinion, all government is evil. Some is more so.
Dr. Shealy, when we first moved to Missouri, there were a lot of questions about what Vincent Finelli did for a living. And people in the county would ask, our son, who was probably 15 at the time, what does your dad do? And he would say, we don't talk about it.
He's a counterintelligence person.
Well, actually, they were absolutely convinced that I was a killer. Literally, my job was killing people. That's what. No, I'm serious. Somebody asked someone who we knew from Missouri. We met him when we moved here, and he was helping us build this house. They said, "So, what does that guy do? What does he do?" And this 63-year-old guy, who was a carpenter type, said, "I know what he does. What he does is he goes to Virginia, does a hit, and then comes back to Missouri for a couple weeks until it dies down. And then he goes back again, and that's what he does." And so that spurred one series of rumors, and it has it's been going on for 11 years now. So when people ask what our children what their dad does, they say we don't talk about it. And our farmhouse has not been burglarized, and others have, and so it's actually a good thing. I guess you can call that insurance. Dr. Shealy, 90 years of holism. Now, you presented, I understand, a seminar in June in Raleigh, North Carolina about that. Is that right?
That is correct. At the Black, what do you call them? Anyway, it's the only meeting, state meeting of Black legislators who were so, opposed by the white legislatures. They formed their own party years ago.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what happened there and what you talked about? Maybe share with our class.
Basically, I was extremely well received. It was a fun group. And essentially, we talked about the fact that essentially the medical profession has been increasingly controlled by the pharmacomafia. And it's gotten more so in the last 60 years at least, whereas before that it was somewhat more open. But my basic thesis is that acute illness is fairly well treated by conventional medicine, and chronic disease is abominably treated by conventional medicine. There is virtually no circumstance under which I would accept anything that conventional medicine has to offer for high blood pressure, for cancer, for heart disease, for diabetes. I mean, all of these are treated in ways that I consider not only not holistic, but actually harmful. And you've got to look at where these diseases come from. And just as we talked about depression earlier in this program, these diseases come because of unfinished anger, guilt, anxiety, or depression. It makes people develop poor, unhealthy habits. It's that simple. Now, if the disease is a result of poor, unhealthy habits, then the treatment should be to encourage, assist people to develop healthy habits, body, mind, and soul.
I read a report on the internet several days ago, and it is completely in sync with what you've been saying. And it said that antidepressants double the risk of suicide.
That's right. I mean, that's a treatment? I mean, they might as well shoot them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's so. What happens, Dr. Shealy, if a person? When I go to when I have been in the past, I'd gone to a doctor's appointment for a checkup, or my mom. I go with my mom, so is my wife and our son, and the questions that my mom gets asked, and sometimes I get asked, do you feel depressed? Do you feel like hurting yourself? And why are they asking these questions, Dr. Shealy?
The system sucks. And it sucks more every year. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten so much worse since Obamacare came in. It's actually multiplied the problems with this.
So my question, I guess, the next question is, if they're asking these questions, oh, no problem, so you feel like hurting yourself, we've got something for that. We've got antidepressants for that. And then we'll increase the likelihood that you're going to jump off a bridge. Isn't that the natural progression? We'll be right back. Dr. Shealy, there's a lady who just loves you, and she owns a radio station called KLID in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I've been there, and I've broadcasted live from there, AM 1340 on the dial, and she has USA Prepares with Dr. Norman Shealy broadcasting delayed Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. That is the best time slot for radio. And she likes us so much, Dr. Shealy, that she puts us on their very best time slot. And that's sunny Skidmore. So, class, if you're in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, or in that broadcast area, you'd like to thank her, please do. And she loves you, Dr. Shealy. You're her favorite. So she calls and thanks me so I can thank you for providing the information that you do about health, wellness, medicine, and so forth. And you're absolutely right, Dr. Shealy, because when I've talked to my medical doctor for, my annual checkup that I might get every couple of years, I asked the question, what can I do to be more healthy? Well, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, should I make any changes? No, you just do.
You could probably take some.
Should I take any supplements? No. Well, should I take any supplements? No, just keep doing what you're doing. Unbelievable. Of course I take supplements. I take vitamins, mineral supplements, and but he is never, that particular doctor when I was seeing him, and never said, "Hey, Vinny, I just want to ask. You don't weigh anywhere near as much as my other patients. I seem more healthy. What are you doing?"
Right.
He's never asked me that. He said one time I was a few pounds heavier, and I mean a few. I don't mean like 20. I mean like a few. And he said, "Well, you've gained a couple pounds." I said, "Have you been out in the waiting room? Have you seen the patients that are going to come see you in the next few minutes?" Jeez. So, Dr. Shealy, one of the questions that is on the Zung test is, I get tired for no reason. What do you think that means? I get tired for no reason. Does that mean lethargic?
Actually,
does that mean
even though it isn't the most common symptom that takes a person to a physician, it may be more common than pain. In other words, fatigue, not having adequate energy is, I would say, epidemic in this country. Now, I don't know about you, but I still feel as energetic as I did at age 26. And most days I have a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And the important thing is, if you're healthy, you have energy. So if you don't have energy, it means almost everything in your entire body system is not functioning at an optimal level. And it means you're deficient in one or another of the essential nutrients, or you've got inflammation. You've got something going wrong if you don't have adequate energy to get through the day and feel good about it.
Okay, so that leads to two questions. One is, many people, I believe, I can't prove this, but I believe many people will come home from work, if they're fortunate enough to have a job at all, and will open a can, pull one of those. Now it's too hard to open cans with can openers, so they'll pull the tab on a can of soup maybe, and have a can of soup for dinner. Or one of you can even buy ramen noodles in a styrofoam cup, peel the lid, add some water, put it in the microwave and then oven, and that's lunch. So if people are eating this, I can understand why they get tired for no reason. But is that what you're saying, that our diet is not adequate to support our lives and our bodies? Is that what you're saying? For many people, our diet
is no good. Spend a lot of time talking about it in the next hour.
Yeah, let's do that, please. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com. And if you'd like to spend some time with Norm Shealy tonight, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Doubletree Hotel in Springfield, Missouri. Absolutely free, 6 to 7 p.m., Dr. Norman Shealy, Doubletree Hotel, Springfield, Missouri. We'll be back after top of the hour news and commercial announcements. And I'd like to talk about polycystic ovaries and red wine when we come back as well. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Dial set correctly to USA Prepares, hour number 2. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dr. Shealy, a quick question before we get into health and wellness. There are a number of people who have expressed concern on the internet about Hillary Clinton's health. She seems to need a support behind her back if she's sitting down. She can't just sit in a chair and lean forward as I am right now, or as you do. She needs to have a podium to hang on to. She needs a railing when she's going upstairs. Do you have any concerns about her health based on the images that you've seen?
I have more concerns about her brain than I do her health. But I mean, to be quite honest, Vince, I hope her health is as bad as is often, predicted, because maybe she won't make it to the election or to the White House, even if she's elected. I'm sorry, but I consider her just one more evil step in the destruction of America. And obviously she's not healthy, but she's not been healthy mentally all her life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there are, I've read reports that she's had affairs with women, affairs with men.
Oh, there are numerous reports of that.
Including with Yoko Ono. John Lennon's wife, Yoko Ono, reported that she and Hillary had, a fling, an intimate fling, a sexual fling.
Well, in today's world where transgender is pushed, what's a little bigender?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dr. Shealy, I since we're on this topic, I read a post, I believe it's Gettysburg College, that is kind of letting men think that, masculinity is not such a good thing. It's I'm
sorry. There's so much BS in today's world. That's another bit of political incorrectness.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, back when Mrs. Finelli and I were married in the 1970s, she was looking for a man. She was not looking to marry a woman. She was not she was looking for a head to spend the rest of her life with a man who acted and behaved like a man, not an effeminate person. She really wanted, and I didn't want to marry a man. I wanted to marry a woman, and that's kind of the way it works, isn't it? I mean, the plumbing's all worked out that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, to each his own, I suppose. But I'm not interested in the man who kissed the cows behind.
Yeah.
Or other such things.
Yeah, and Dr. Shealy, what we're seeing is what is a CoverGirl magazine? If I'm not mistaken, CoverGirl magazine is going to have a cover with a guy, this feminine looking. Well, I'm not sure about the dress. Maybe that will help sell dresses to men. But it seems like it's being promoted that you don't have to be macho. You don't have to be strong. You can shave your legs, as 35% of men have admitted to shaving their legs. Dr. Shealy, it's never occurred to me to shave my legs. Never.
I kind of like the hair on my legs.
Well, yeah, and I've heard of guys shaving their chests. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think the man should be the head of the household. He should protect his family. The men have roles and women have roles. It's not like I don't do the dishes. If I help out every way I can. Mrs. Finelli thinks I have a severe allergy to vacuuming, but but I wash the clothes and hang them up on the line. I do some of the things that women do, but that doesn't make me less of a man. I'm not wearing earrings, and I don't put makeup on, and I don't cross dress, and I don't do those things because I am a man. And I hope more men resist the temptation to becoming more feminized. I think it's just one more nail in the coffin.
Those men who want to transform themselves to women are sick. And interestingly, the American Academy of Pediatrics published a white paper a couple of months ago in which they said it just the way it is. This whole business about transgender is dangerous for normal kids. And it's one of the worst of Obama's bullshit. Sorry on the air, but unbelievable badness from the Obama administration. And the transgender is near the top of the list as society destructive.
So what do we do, Dr. Shealy, as parents? I've said I've said to our children, if you think that you're queer, don't come back home.
But you're using an out of date term.
Yeah, I am. Well,
it went out about what in the early 80s.
Yeah. Well, I've told our children a couple things. One, if they get tattooed, I consider that permanent, and that is as permanent if they were to show up with tattoos as the removal from inheritance. They get tattooed, no inheritance. Simple as that. And I've said that to them. It's my money. Whatever amount,
As the Aussies would say, good on you, mate.
So if they're going to do something that dumb as to get a tattoo in the moment of whatever the moment is that they make a dumb decision, they haven't done it. They have not been tattooed, and I told them if they determined that they were homos, just don't come back home. No need to come back home. And so.
You need to teach a class in parenting.
Well, I hate to say this, but there's this young lady that I think is a nice person, and she determined that she was a homo, and she won't come to our house anymore because she knows how I feel about homos, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, honestly, I don't really have those kinds of feelings about people who happen to be that way. And yet, I do consider, especially the mixed genders, if you will, and all that, among the sickest of all possibilities. Mm-hmm. But we can't all be perfect like us.
Well, so how do we get this way, Dr. Shealy? Is it nurture and nature? Is it
it's
deficiency
lack of nurture and stupid nature?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, the left wing has been going this route for the last 70 or 80 years. They encourage these unusual behaviors and are pushing it on everybody. And again, I consider the transgender thing among the worst. The idea of a man who thinks he's a woman for the day going into a ladies' room is, contemptuous at the very least.
Well, if that guy follows Mrs. Finelli into the ladies' room and one of our sons sees it, I know that guy's going to have a broken nose. I know it. Both of them. All of our children have competed at Disney's Wide World of Sports in the National Karate Championships. And one of them actually took second place in the nation in his class. And that's the guy I'm thinking of who would most probably break that guy's nose should he wander into the ladies' room, public ladies' room after Mrs. Finelli. I can just see that happening. Dr. Shealy, could this be a result of maybe a combination of things? A poor diet. I'm talking about the increase in transgenders, homosexuality, deviant behavior. Could it be a combination of nurture as well as poor diet and immunizations?
Part of it, of course, is a great deal of the lack of energy, the result of crummy nutrition. And it's, as you know, soy, which is being pushed by oddballs, is highly estrogenic. And, of course, a lot of the petrochemicals, including dish detergent, are estrogenic in nature. And so remember that the male average sperm count has decreased from 150 million 75 years ago to 40 million a day. And men become infertile, unable to fertilize when they get down to 20 million. So we're on the verge of extinction of the whole human race because of all the chemical pollution in the world.
Okay, there's an article I was reading, and we've talked about this many, many times over the years, but I believe it bears repeating again and again and again, and I'd like to do it right now again, and that is this plague of plastic, Dr. Shealy. There's plastic balls in some of our toothpastes. There's plastic in bottles, bottled water, bottled beverages. Mayonnaise comes in plastic bottles. I don't know of too many items other than some pickles that come in glass, but plastic jars, plastic wrappers, plastic straws, plastic baggies, plastic wrap. I mean, the list, plastic food storage containers, the list goes on and on and on. And I understand that we are disrupting our hormones, causing cancer, diabetes, ADHD, and autism. Can we discuss that, and then we'll get into health and wellness?
Yes.
Can we discuss the plastic plague when we come back?
Yes, bisphenol.
Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and Dr. Shealy, we get the lines are lit up, and I just want to mention that, some people say that we don't talk about good news here on USA Prepares, and actually I have a bit of good news. Hillary Clinton was at a Chipotle restaurant in Ohio on her campaign travels, and no one recognized her. No one recognized Hillary Clinton at a restaurant, so she had to do a lap around and kind of walk around and try to find somebody to shake hands with. But none of the people in the restaurant recognized Hillary Clinton, so I think that's a bit of good news.
Yes, indeed.
Mike in Tennessee, welcome.
Greetings. I just wanted to touch on one quick subject. You mentioned infertility issues, and I'd recently spoken with Lauren from Ohio, and she is quite well versed in this area. And she said that one of the things that people could do is take a sample of sperm, and you're not only looking for quantity, but you're looking for their vitality, the ability of them to swim and to actually get into the egg. And she said something to the effect that a lot of times if the swimmers are very weak, the egg will literally reject it. and will not get inside. And then there was the issue of the women having these cysts, ovarian cysts, seem to be prevalent among many women, and that prevents the egg from implanting.
Well, those are definitely additional problems, no question about it. The whole problem of infertility has zoomed again in the last 50 or 60 years, and they're all interrelated. I mean, it's hard to say that just one thing, like the soy or the petroestrogens, is the major cause, because we have so many poisons in the world today, including birth control pills. Let's face it. If a woman has been on birth control pills for more than a year or two, that interrupts her fertility sometimes for up to several years.
Is that a cause of birth defects, Dr. Shealy?
No question. All of these things add up. If she has trouble conceiving, she's more likely to have more problems with whatever she conceives, because her whole body is not as healthy.
And I've been reading about polycystic ovaries. Can you address that?
Well, that
seems to be
that is interesting. An estrogen dominance, usually. In other words, a fair number of women have, especially if they're overweight, produce too much estrogen and not enough progesterone. See, normally there's a balance between progesterone and estrogen every month, and that's what the whole cycle runs around. And if women are overweight significantly, they produce a great excess of estrogen, and that's the kind of thing that leads to polycystic ovaries as well as breast cancer.
And I've read that drinking red wine, now we're not talking about to excess, but drinking a moderate amount of red wine can help keep those cysts at bay. Have you had any experience with that, Dr. Shealy?
Yes.
Resveratrol in red wine.
Yes, resveratrol does seem to enhance immune function and overall health, yes.
Okay. Mike Parsons, anything else?
Oh, no, I appreciate it. That seems to be something that I find is quite prevalent across the country in people that I've spoken to. And I didn't know if perhaps there's some type of link, because some of these people are not overweight, but I think they all tend to eat wheat as part of their diet. I didn't know if that might be somehow linked to that, or if it's just warfare against we the people to reduce our numbers, that we just can't identify the source of it.
Well, wheat is just another of the mutual poisons these days. There's so many of them, it's hard to blame any one.
Right.
Great point. Mike, it's great to hear your voice.
It's good to be heard. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk again.
Thank you very much. Coming up, Sharon in Montana. She'd like to talk about GMO. Sharon in Montana, another USA preparedness instructor, is going to be with us with Dr. Shealy in just a couple minutes. She's calling in. We'll be right back. Yeah, we've got breaking news. National Enquirer, Hillary Fixer breaks ranks. It says, Hillary Fixer breaks ranks. These are quotes. Hillary Fixer breaks ranks. I arranged sex trysts for her with men and women. And then the front page of the National Enquirer says, Hillary Hitman tells all. She ordered me to destroy Bill's sex victims, bribe reporters to bury truth, ruin Monica Lewinsky, hide her sleazy affairs, pay hush money to hookers. Front page of the National Enquirer, which I believe is getting to be more trusted than some of the other major media outlets. So there you have it. And we've got, National Enquirer. Sharon in Montana, welcome. You're on with Dr. Shealy.
Yeah, good morning. I just had a couple comments.
Good morning.
On Jeffrey Smith's book, Seeds of Deception, he prints a lot of the animal studies they did using GMOs, and the babies came out messed up, basically sexually. The males had small genitalia, and the women the females were aggressive and they were prone to tumors and stuff. So I feel like part of the bent towards a stronger point of homosexuality is somewhat caused by GMOs. And then the other thing is in studies, with people who are homosexual, they rarely have a good relationship with their father. Frequently, they have no relationship with their father. So I also think it's somewhat social. But my point is that I personally think homosexuality is wrong. So I believe people have choices. You might be bent with you might be born with like a lazy bent or an angry bent or whatever, but we can make choices, and we do not have to be what our bent is. We can modify it. I know of my one of my son, he was born with a temper. The minute he came out of the womb, he was absolutely furiously mad, and the midwife and I were laughing, okay? But he learned how to control that by guidance, and he doesn't have that problem now. He's very controlled. So I do believe that as parents, we have a huge input on what our children are going to be like. And secondly, as far as GMO, if I had a small child, I would avoid GMO if at all possible in every way I could. And when it comes to formula, if you had to do formula, I wouldn't buy GMO formula because I think it's causing damage to our children.
Dr. Shealy?
Well, I think that there are so many reasons for all of the problems that we have. I agree, GMO sucks, and I'm being kind. I don't like it. I don't like any of the abnormal things that have gone on in our government. But we still can choose habits, as you say, and we can choose how we eat, we can choose how we exercise, and those are the things that can determine our health in every conceivable way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I just think that we have, I do believe there's a bigger agenda to tear down our society, and I believe that they're trying to make everybody a victim and helpless, and you notice that they're coddling children to the most ridiculous thing. I mean, trying to tell them they're wonderful when they're not wonderful. Okay, I'm not saying you should tear children down, but you can say that was bad behavior. You ought not to behave that way. As opposed, oh, honey, you're just such a wonderful child. It's tearing down the whole society. So we have these people who feel like, well, I can't help it. I can't do anything. And it's not true. It's just not true.
And are you talking also about every student's a winner? You have a competition and everybody wins.
Yeah.
So there's really no competition.
Well, I think really small children, you encourage them and you say, well, you fell down that time, but you'll do better next. I mean, that's fine. But not say, oh, you were great when you fell down. Okay? It's lying. It's not being honest. They don't have a way to balance what is good or bad if they're not being told what is good or bad or being trained in that way. I think that as I get older, when my children were really young, I was in school, and I had probably a more unique way of correcting their papers. I put a sad face, and then they would have to correct it, and then it became a happy face when they were in like first and second grade. But by the time they got older, we changed that, And so I think that you should encourage children, but you shouldn't be lying to them. You shouldn't say they're that they won when they didn't win, But I just feel like we have this society, the whole concept is like we can't take care of ourselves. We need somebody else, big brother government. Everybody needs to take care of us. And I've been talking with people that are generally my age, which we didn't grow up like that as children. We were expected to pick up our toys. We were expected to get dressed. We were expected to help. We were expected to take care of ourselves when we played outside. We did not have to be entertained every 5 minutes. And it's weakening down our society. It just is.
Sharon, I've got a question for you. Mm-hmm. When you were growing up, did you ever use the term, and I can't imagine you did because I never did, but did you ever use the term, I'm bored?
Not long. No, I did that one time. My mom decided it was a good time for me to wash the hall walls. And then if I was still bored, she would find something else for me to do. And I use that same technique with my kids. So we didn't get bored. We definitely found something to do.
Right, and that is the point. And today's children, I've heard them say, I'm bored. And I think it means a couple things. I think it means one, you need to entertain me, and two, it's your fault. And it's not my fault. It's not my fault that they feel bored. It's their fault that they haven't found something to do, something productive to do. And I also think that ties with two things. And I'd love to hear your comments, Dr. Shealy. Number one, the cell phone that they're always looking down at, and television. So entertainment through television and entertainment through cell phones, meaning they've got to find out, so what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. That, those kind of texts back and forth. Do you think that the electronics have put children in a position where they feel that they're bored when they should be doing something that they don't realize?
I would be bored too if I watched television at all, and I would certainly be bored playing with dumb phones. So, by thinking about those. So,
okay.
I feel that it's
Sharon, anything
also
else?
I feel that parents ought to provide opportunities for the kids to do things like when we were children. I'm presuming we could go out and play, and you can do tons of things outside. People now live in cities or towns, and they are worried about the various predators that are probably out there. Maybe not as extreme as they think, but it is a chance. So you can't just send your kid to the park and play by himself. But I feel like you should give them things they could do. I had lots of craft stuff. We had lots of things that kids could do, but I didn't do it for them. I just had all the supplies, And our kids could play outside, actually.
There's always wash the car, Get the hose out, get a bucket out, get a sponge out, wash the car. Sweep off the front porch.
Don't forget to polish.
Polish the car.
Well,
Absolutely. Wax the car.
I feel children
Change
should have
the oil.
chores, though, because they need to feel part of the family, okay? And if they're only being doted on, they're kind of like continual guests. And they need to feel like they have value and that they are part of a family and they all work together. But I also believe that kids can find things to do with almost anything. You think about the pioneer children, they had very little to work with and they still found things to do. So I agree. But I just think it's also good that parents provide things that they can make, do, build, that type of thing.
I wonder if there was a line in Little House on the Prairie, Dad, I'm bored. I can't imagine. If
they were, I'll bet the parents put them to work.
You bet.
Yeah.
Sharon, thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Deborah in Kentucky, welcome. You're on the air with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Good morning, Vincent and Dr. Shealy. Am I distorting because I'm on a portable phone with the speaker on? Is it okay?
Nah, you're just fine.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, this morning I wanted to explain a little to you about thyroid adrenal situation that I've been dealing with for several years. My temp had been a 9.6 and a 9.3 for quite a while, and recently it's dropped to 9.5. My hair's falling out by the handfuls, and I'll just give you a brief overview of what I have been doing, and I would be so appreciative of any recommendations for what else to do or maybe what not to do. I've been taking a very quality thyroid adrenal complex for a while. I had been doing a multi-glandular to support all of the glands for about 4 or 5 months. I'm not doing that right now. Let me see. Iodine, I had been doing a very expensive quality iodine internally and had bumped it up quite a bit. And more recently, I've been doing a transdermal iodine that was, like it says 1%, and then it says 3.1 VV, and that might have something to do with veterinary because that's where it had been purchased for, for animals.
Well, obviously, you're doing the major things other than using Fire Bliss. I would definitely do that because it is the one other thing that you're not doing that might help your own thyroid gland recover. Now, we've got to face it. Some people cannot restore thyroid function. In my experiment with people who are iodine deficient, 60% can restore iodine function just by taking adequate iodine. The rest need at least fire bliss to activate it with stimulating 12 specific acupuncture points in the body with roll-on mixture of essential oils. And there's a percentage of people who can't do it, and they really must take thyroid itself. And of course, if you have to go to thyroid, I would use Armours.
Sharon, do you have additional questions for Dr. Norm Shealy? Sharon? All right, we'll be right back. Class, you might want to consider what happens if we're sold out and Hillary is selected as our president of corporate U.S. You would think that gun prices will go up very, very quickly. So if you want a gun, if you don't have one yet, or if you want to top off your supplies, your ammunition and accessories, there's a gun show at Kansas City, Missouri, October 22 and 23. KCI Expo Center, Kansas City, Missouri. You might want to check that out. That's the RK Gun Show. Fabulous shows, no question about it. I've been to many of them for about 10 years. Dr. Shealy, we were talking about the plastic plague. What would you like to share with us? Bisphenol A, it's in it's like everywhere. It's in the lining of soup cans. Yeah,
theoretically, I looked it up. 10% of the petroleum used goes into making plastic. Now, that's minor to some extent in overall use of petroleum, but it's major in health negativity. Yeah, plastic is not healthy. There's nothing else you can say. It's not healthy. Glass is the only really, really healthy thing. Even tin cans is not my favorite. But plastic sucks.
Mm-hmm. So we should avoid putting or buying plastic water bottles filled with water if we can.
And yet, compared to city water, I think the plastic bottled water is better. Because basically, city water is loaded with chlorine and fluoride, both of which are also toxic. You know, everywhere you look, we have poisoned the planet. There's 550,000 different poisons released into the atmosphere every year.
Dr. Shealy, we only have a couple minutes left, and I wanted to hit a couple topics. The Monroe Institute. You spoke at the Monroe Institute, didn't you?
Yes, a couple of times. It's a wonderful place. Their original introduction back in the 70s of HemiSync, which is a modulation of sound that is excellent for relaxation and sleep, etc., is, I think, one of the great contributions.
And can you give us a thumbnail of what is past life therapy? And that's something that you teach.
Yes. There's no question in my mind that all of us have been here many, many times. The soul keeps coming back, hoping we'll get it better in the next life. So past life therapy is a guided imagery to help you get your subconscious mind to bring up a life you have lived in the past that has maybe some unfinished business that's contributed to problems in this life. I think all major illnesses literally come because of anger, guilt, anxiety, depression that was not taken care of in a previous life.
Mm-hmm. And Christians would say that that's wrong. It's against what they've been trained. However, Christians want to go to heaven. So if they're now in heaven and they're looking back, they did have a past life, didn't they?
That is true. And of course, reincarnation was taught in Christianity until 325, when the Roman Empire took over the Bible.
And health and wellness, we were going to touch on that. What do we do to be as healthy as we can possibly be?
Well, the top of the list to eat real food. 80% of the food in this country is junk. Mm-hmm. And all fast food restaurants are junk. 60% of the food in grocery stores is junk. So at the top of the list would have to be eat real food. And the average American eats only 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and the minimum for health is 5. And I start my day with 5.
Okay. I was traveling, and I pulled into a gas station, and it was like a gas station convenience store. And they had a McDonald's attached to it. And I went in the door, and I ended up in McDonald's there, and there was this very large young lady there, very large. And she said, "Hi, how's it going?" I said, "Hey, is food good here?" She said, "Oh, yeah, it's really good." I said, "Do you eat here often?" "Yeah." And there was a guy standing who was watching this, and he was just kind of smiling because he could see where I was going, but I didn't go there. I didn't say, "Wow, it looks like it's working." Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. NormShealy.com. Norm, NormShealy.com.